Today on the Dream Big series, we have Mikey Needleman. Mikey is a solo artist and the leader of the Mikey Needleman Band. He's been a full-time musician for a long time. I've known Mikey. He's got a quality band. He has for years played all kinds of shows, big, small, and a big range of shows. This interview is extremely timely, though. I was on Facebook a couple weeks ago and saw Mikey Needleman pop up on Facebook Live. But this was different because he was on the sidewalk of this barbecue joint called Fireside Barbecue, and there were cars in the parking lot, and they were honking between songs, and I was like, what is going on with this? So I did a little bit more research and realized Mikey was using an FM transmitter to broadcast his music, not just to Facebook Live, but to the cars that were in the parking lot. And this Fireside was actually sending out car hops to take orders from these people. And it was brilliant. They say necessity is the mother of all invention. Well, there is no difference here. Mikey has had to do this. He's got 4 kids. He is a full-time musician. 2 of those kids are twins that were born in February. So that is a lot of pressure on a dad to get out there and make it happen. I hope you get as much out of this as I did. Welcome to the Dream Big series, Mikey Needleman. All right, welcome to the Dream Big series, and with us today we have Mikey Needleman. Hey, thanks for being on, dude.
Hey, it's an honor to be here with you, Chad.
Yeah. So you and I, we've known each other a long time, you know.
Yeah.
I played my very first banjo gig with your band.
Oh yeah, was that it?
That was probably the day you decided I'm not sure we really need a banjo in the band anymore, but.
We bit off a lot that show. That was
so did I.
I think the first time we met, honestly, was when we were doing a battle of the bands.
Oh,
for
probably.
that Mix '93 Red, White, and Boom thing.
Yeah.
We were on the same night that, I think it was us and I think Pat Lentz was on that gig as well. There's a ton of people that are still rocking in the business that was probably at least 11, 12 years ago.
Oh, that's cool. So, I didn't remember that until now, but yeah. So you've got a band that you play with. You do a lot of solo stuff. Of course, I think you do some duo and trio type things as well. Maybe just you want to talk a little bit about your band real quick and what you guys are up to and what you're doing?
Sure. So I started the band in 2006 and started as a 3-piece. And throughout the years, we're still together. But the lineups changed. We've had about 11, 12 different members kind of cycle through. This lineup right now we've had for 4 years now. As far as the guy who's been at the least is 4 years, the other guy's been at for almost 7. So we're pretty locked in with this lineup. But we're just called the Mikey Needleman Band. I started it because I was doing some solo shows in college and I wanted to kind of take it to the next level. And I knew that you couldn't have bands opening up for solo acoustic acts. So I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm growing and all that stuff. So I started the band. Over the past 13 and a half years or so, we play about 250 gigs a year between the band. The band probably plays about 80 to 100 a year. And then my solo and duo acts makes up the other 100 to 150 a year, playing full-time music. We do all kinds of events. We'll do, the bars and restaurants, do the cover gig stuff. It's really cool. We do wedding receptions, corporate events. And then we also kind of do the Christian stuff too. Like we work with churches and we do youth rallies and stuff like that. There's such a need there for good quality music as well. And that's, everybody in the band has kind of had that background as well. So it was pretty easy to kind of do both. We found that, especially at like the youth camps, they want a lot of stuff that they hear on the radio that's, positive and fun and danceable, but they also want to be able to do some worship. So there's not a whole lot of bands out there that do that. So that's one thing that kind of makes us unique is we can kind of do both.
Yeah. So how far radius do you guys travel with that? With any of it?
I would say typically we're in the Kansas City metro area. I'd say maybe a 2-hour radius driving makes up for 85 to 90% of our work. We have gotten on airplanes to go play gigs, Houston, Phoenix, Chicago, Florida, we've gone all the way. I've done LA. So those will pop up every once in a while. Thing is, we have families here, and we much rather sleep in our own beds. And there's a lot to be said about getting on the road and developing that fan base, which is kind of paying your dues and whatnot. But I think what's really important to us is that we can make good money, support our families, and then be home that night to wake up in the morning and help get the kids ready for school. So that's kind of a need for us, that if we had the opportunity to go on tour, we'd have to really weigh that with, how important that is to be on tour or to be with our families. And if we can provide for our families without being on tour, that's kind of my definition of success, is just being able to provide for your family. So we can stay successful and stay local at the same time.
Well, and speaking of family, we're talking like you got 4 kids, right? All under 6?
Yeah. So I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and then on February 3rd of 2020 this year, my wife and I had twins. So that was was a big shakeup in the household for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one thing that I've admired about just you as a musician, but on the music business side for quite a while, is you always seem to be pushing the envelope with new ideas. And, I've seen you do it, and I've seen you, like, the first thing I think I really noticed was when you started introducing the screens in the back with the video. You were doing that. Talk about a little bit, if you don't mind, what causes you to always be pushing for that next thing and looking for something different, new to bring to the fans?
I think my background, starting as a solo musician in a college town, really entering into the music scene during a recession, was that nothing's going to be handed to you. And if you want people to come to your shows, if you want people to be excited, you got to do something and take chances. And so on top of that, you mix in my ADHD and you mix in my OCD, and it's like, man, I stay awake up at night being like, well, if I can do this, then I should be able to do that. I can do this. And Chad, to be honest with you, I've crashed and burned a ton of times on stage, and that's the risk you got to take. But my whole thing is always saying, never be standing water. That's kind of my whole deal, is if you're not improving, then you're getting worse. And so I never want to say, well, I got a good thing, going, let's just keep it. My thing is, we got a great thing. That's awesome. Very thankful for that. Let's make sure we have a great thing tomorrow too. So just always kind of letting those ideas come and embracing them, bouncing them off other people as well. Some people, I'll come up with an idea and I'll be like, what do you think about that? They're like, or you can do this. And they'll say something that I've never thought about. So that's really important too, is to have some people that you trust, that you can bounce ideas off of, who are not only there to be skeptical, but they're there to be pragmatic and encouraging at the same time. And I've got a lot of those people in my life that I can do that with.
Man, super valuable.
Yeah.
So speaking of innovative ideas, I'm on my phone yesterday or the day before, actually, I think it was, and up pops a live Mikey Needleman solo show, standing out in front of a fireside with cars out there, and people are honking their horns, and you are live broadcasting to Facebook and to their cars with your show. I mean, I'm like, wow, here we go again. Mikey's doing something innovative again. Talk about that, man. How did that come about, and what is it, and what are you doing with that?
Sure. So kind of the whole story is, as you know, right now, our country is going through some crazy changes with this whole quarantine and asked to be, stay in, all that stuff. So I think, and I shared this with you the other day, I think that what's happening with our country with coronavirus and COVID-19 is going to be as big of an impact as Napster was to our industry. Right away, Napster didn't seem like a big deal, but then it was the wave. Then it was iTunes, and then it was Spotify, and then we got into streaming, all this kind of stuff. But that started with Napster, and everybody can say that changed everything. And I think right now with coronavirus and people having to stay home, I think that's changing everything. So I went from a calendar with 180 dates on the calendar to possibly 0. I mean, it was like watching the stock market crash. My email was canceled. I was replying to other emails, and more emails were coming in, canceled. And I'm like, man, and I have in my paperwork and stuff cancellation fees, but that goes out the window with a pandemic. I mean, you can't expect anybody to pay a cancellation fee when they've been ordered by the government. You can't have people in your venue. So I'm like, okay, something's got to give here. I think everybody kind of had the same idea. Well, I'll start doing some live shows online and doing some Facebook Live and whatnot. And I think that's awesome. I'd never had a Patreon page. I started a Patreon page. All my fan base was, really excited to say, hey, like, I'll give you $5 a month, which is 16 cents a day, just for you to do what you're doing. Just show my support, and then there's other people who decided to give more. And so that's kind of where I was going with this. Is I contacted my buddy Joe Passantino. He's a youth minister, youth worker at Ascension here in Overland Park, and I told him the idea. I said, hey, I think this is what I want to do. I'm going to start doing these live streams, but I don't want them to be just like me propping a phone up and doing it. Again, now that's not a good solution. That's just, to me, I think I can do better. I think we have the technology to do better. So he's got a Sling studio, which if you're not familiar with that, it basically gives you multiple camera angles, but you can still stream your live show. Okay, so we decide we're going to do a live show streaming with multiple camera angles as our kind of way of introducing this new series of playing live via the internet, via sit at your in your home and watch on your phone or whatever. And he said, that sounds great. I'm in. He goes, but I also want to run something by you. And he goes, I went ahead and I just ordered 2 FM transmitters. And he goes, I think at our church, we're going to start doing like some drive-in movies and stuff. Set up a big screen, FM transmitter. They don't have to open up their window, all that stuff. And I'm like, and so then my gears start turning, and then I'm like, okay. And he goes, and we'd like you to maybe play music one night, like do like a worship thing at the church. And I was like, so I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. I was just envisioning everything happening in my basement with a live stream on Facebook. But now we're talking back about getting in front of people, albeit while they're in their cars and through their radio rather than through their phones. And I'm like, okay, let me think about this. And so I contacted a buddy of mine who owns a bar here called Fireside Barbecue. Great barbecue, check it out. And I go, you're still able to call carry out orders and delivery and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so let me run this through you. Can you bring people their food out to their car? Absolutely. What if you have a lot of cars in your lot? He's like, well, yeah, we can still bring people out, their food to their cars, and that's what we'd prefer rather than coming in. I said, wouldn't it be great if they had some entertainment while they're waiting for their food? And he goes, yeah. And I said, wouldn't it be great if they didn't even have to open up their windows? They can just listen to the music through the FM transmitter. And he said, that sounds awesome. I go, here's the deal. It's a new landscape. Normally I would say, hey, this is what I charge to play your facility. I'm just going to say, can I please use your parking lot as a place to do a show that's through FM transmitter? All these people will come in. They're already getting cabin fever. They already want to bring their families out, even if it's just to drive around. They don't have to get out of their cars. They just need to get out of the house. So he goes, I think that's a great idea. We'll make like a menu specifically for this. We can just kind of set up an idea or a whole plan of, we got the FM transmitter working. When people pull in the lot, they turn on the radio we chose 89.7 because it was the clearest, but those FM transmitters, you can kind of do anything you want. Mm-hmm. And as people walk or drive in, they put that in, they see me out front of the front door and I'm playing, and they can hear the music crystal clear in the radio. In fact, Joe, when we were doing this, he drove around and he got about almost a whole mile away still hearing this music. And it's all FCC approved because it's low enough bandwidth or frequency or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So anyways, they pull in, they're handed a menu. It's a single-use menu from a car hop who's wearing gloves and all that kind of stuff just through their window. and they review the menu. They're listening to the music. They call in their order. They say, hey, I'm driving the red Jeep. And they say, okay, cool. And they put in the order, and then they listen to the music. And then after a while, the food comes out to them. They can stay and listen, and they can have a picnic in their car. They can leave, whatever. All the while, so how does this benefit me, being that the venue isn't going to play any music or pay me anything? I'm sorry. They're not going to pay me anything. So I just set up a big sign that has my Venmo on it, and it has my PayPal on it. And for you musicians who are listening, explore those different options when it comes to these virtual tip jars. Because I know Venmo will crack down every once in a while. They don't, like, you're not supposed to be using Venmo as a tip jar. I've heard some stories of musicians that Venmo just takes their money and says, hey, you've violated our stuff. So be careful about that. Do it the right way. I still need to explore that. I know there's some actual virtual tip jars out there. They take a little bit of a cut, but they're safe. Right. You know, they're made for that. PayPal seems to be pretty good about it as well. But so the whole night, I'm looking at my phone. I'm also, Chad, like you said, I'm also live streaming on Facebook with just a camera, a phone camera. I'm looking at my phone, and my Venmo is just boom, 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 boom. $5, $3, $1, $10. Can you play this song? All this stuff. And I'm like, okay, this might be the new normal.
Yeah.
You know, this might be what we need to do to survive out there. So it was a successful night, and I made really, really great money. And it felt really good coming back home to my family, to my wife, who's quarantined with 4 kids, to say, yeah, this is something that was worth it. This is something that really is going to help our family. So that's kind of the gist of that first night. That was Monday of this week. And it was a huge success. Tons of people, yourself, reached out, had a bunch of other musicians reach out. And as I shared with you, Chad, unfortunately right now, to order an FM transmitter, it's going to be hard to get one before May, because every church in America, everybody's trying to get these things that we're all, so funny. We're going back to this dated technology
right.
to do these things. But I think the missing piece in all of this is we've got, okay, how do we keep people safe in their cars? Cool. We got that. How do we get them, worth it to the venue to do something like this? Okay, they can do carry out orders. By the way, they doubled their normal sales for a Monday night, and they weren't even selling alcohol, hold on. I think I might've lost you.
Yeah. I lost the script. Okay. There we go. Yep.
Okay. Sorry. I just got a phone call from somebody who wants to do something big. But anyways, so the venue's now making their money. I'm making my money in a new, innovative way that's coming in via the internet and in person. Yeah. My buddy Joe, I'm basically renting the FM transmitters from him. So he's making some money there. And of course, it isn't about like profiting and making a ton of money. It's just about sustaining and trying to make this viable as a livelihood. Right. The one missing piece, though, that we got to figure out is bathrooms. Because we can do something in the parking lot of Arrowhead Stadium. We could do something anywhere, same kind of concept, but people seemingly get out of their cars to use the restroom. And that's just probably a federal guideline. You have to have so many restrooms for so many people. Yeah. So that's the one thing that we're working through. That if you do something on a small scale, you can say, hey, restrooms are closed, drive home, use the restroom, come back, But if you're doing something on a big scale where people are driving in from long places, we got to figure something out there. I don't know if porta potties are necessarily the solution there. But that's kind of everything that's happened in the last few days. I did another show on Wednesday night, same concepts at the same place, successful again. So that's where I'm sitting here on Thursday morning with you, with my whole world in a whirlwind. I've got, like I said, I just had a phone call, people saying, what about this? Let's do this. Let's do this. People are scrambling to figure out how to do stuff. And I don't even have my mind wrapped around it yet.
The music industry is drastically changing, and for the better. The power to have a successful music career is in your hands and no longer up to a few gatekeepers. The key is having the right information, the right tools, and committing to do the work. I want to help you jumpstart your career with my free ebook called Play Music, Make More. This free ebook is everything we've done with our own group, as well as what I've learned being an entertainment agent, and it's all played into the success we've had as independent artists. Visit playmusicmakemore.com to get your free copy today.
Well, man, you've come a long ways, though. You know what I'm curious about? Do you have any more thoughts on when you say this is the new normal, or this is what Napster was to streaming and whatnot? Do you have any thoughts about what that really means, or where that might be going, connected to what you just did?
No.
Yeah.
All I know is I don't think that Napster thought Spotify was going to happen.
Right.
Or, I think when Napster came out, YouTube wasn't even a thing,
Yeah.
so we didn't even know what streaming was back then. So what's happening now, I just know that, the concert venues they don't have a concert booked in the next few months.
Yeah.
And even when we get the lift, hopefully by summer, we don't know what that's going to look like as far as the new regulations on how far people need to be sitting apart from each other. What do mosh pits look like anymore?
Yeah.
So I don't know where this is going, but I think just having that creative idea of, okay, wait, we can do this, we can solve this problem, I think is going to progress us into what the new normal is, even if everything goes back to quote unquote normal, with shows being the same, public gatherings be the same. We've put a dent here.
Yeah.
People are adjusting their schedules, setting reminders for online shows now. They never would have done that. Nobody would have showed up in a car for a drive-in at a barbecue place not to go inside a week ago, 2 weeks ago. That wouldn't have happened. So to answer your question, I don't know where it's going, but I do know that right now there's a lot of potential, which it kind of seems like the opposite. I'll tell you, a week and a half ago, potential was not the word I was thinking of.
Right.
Devastation was the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's potential for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, it's a testament to just stay, okay, this is where we're at. I'm going to just take the next step and see where this goes, which is what you've been doing here. And it's paying off. And so I'm really excited to see where these next steps come from. What is the next step, and what this is where people are getting so creative and getting together with their ideas, and they're just like what you said, you got people calling you with ideas left and right because you took that step. And so, man, I'm just hats off to you, dude. This is such a cool thing, and I appreciate you being willing to share everything going on with this as well.
Yeah, the silver lining about it is us as musicians, we have the same amount of dates on the calendar as Lady Gaga has right now. It just equalizes us all. So we have the opportunity to now not think, well, I'm starting way down here, everybody else is up there, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all here right now. So for any musicians who are listening to this, like, now's the time to act and get creative. There is not a better time than right now.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to help promote your next stuff. So first of all, when is your next online live fireside show? Do you have another one of those coming up, or?
So I got kind of a little schedule going on right now. The next time I'm going to stream is going to be, I'm going to do like a Friday afternoon every week kind of thing for 30 minutes. I'm calling it like the house cleaning set, where people can just put me on, connect me to the Bluetooth, go clean the house a little bit, upbeat music, stuff like that. There's just kind of a little thing it's just like a pop-up thing that just pops up every Friday. And that's going to be through my Facebook page, which if you just look up Mikey Needleman Band on Facebook, you'll see that. You can like it. It's going to pop up, all that kind of stuff. In fact, everything I do is going to be advertised through that.
Yeah.
And then Sunday morning, I'm doing, Saturday night, we're doing a live show, same kind of deal. Well, no, not same kind of deal. Everything's different. We're doing a show at a bar that we're all going to be in different spots of the bar, very, very socially distant, so that they can promote their to-go orders as well. So same kind of thing, but this is going to be a full band thing. I haven't done a full band thing. We haven't played together since all this. So that's going to be really interesting. That's going to be Saturday night, 8:00 with the KC Online music series and all that kind of stuff.
So
Sunday
before we go
morning.
too far on that, what are you, is that where Joe's setting up with this multiple camera switching thing?
Exactly. Really? There's four of us in the band, and we're going to have probably 4 different cameras.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to move to each one as we're playing the songs and everything. We've worked out with the venue that, like you said, we have like video tracks that play along with the songs. We've worked out with them that they're going to let, at this bar, it has tons of TV. We're going to be able to pipe in our video tracks through all the TVs. So, when you see me in the background, you'll see the video track. When you look at the drummer, you'll see a TV in the background, and it'll all be kind of synced. Really excited. Fingers crossed it all works.
Yeah.
We never know like what their Wi-Fi strength is, etc. So we're trying to work through that. That'll be really,
right?
That's Saturday night at 8:00.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and then Sunday morning, I'm doing a worship morning. I just call it like Sunday morning worship and reflection. Just me playing some worship tunes, really, really intimate and small. But then I have a buddy of mine who lives in Nashville, Dom Qualia. He's going to give a little message, 3-5 minutes in between, kind of sandwiched in between worship. Something that, again, families can just kind of tune in. This isn't something that I'm going to be promoting my Venmo or Patreon or anything like that. This is just something that I want to do in this new time when families can't get to church, for example. So that's Sunday. And then Sunday afternoon, I think I'm doing one of those events at a church where they're going to try to do some sort of worship time with people in their cars, a drive-in type experience through FM radio. That's Sunday afternoon. And that's about as far as I've gotten as far as my schedule goes. Everything's changing so rapidly. Yeah.
Well, you throw in changing diapers, and I don't know how much more time you're going to have.
That's true. Oh my goodness. And the thing is it's not like, let's say for some reason I become a millionaire doing this. It's probably not going to happen. But let's say I did. It's not like we can get a nanny, because it's like we can't have people at the house. It's not like we can hire sitters. To like alleviate my wife's work. It's like everything still falls on her because we're really trying to be isolated in quarantine. Yeah. So that's the thing that's tough. It falls on her. The last thing I did want to mention is I forgot to say, every single Wednesday I do a patron-only show called Open Line Wednesdays. And basically what that is if you join my Patreon, which like I said, is $5 to get into it, $5 a month. You get to make a request. I have a wheel that I spin that has everybody's requests, and I just go through them as many as I can in about an hour of time. But that's only for my patrons. So that live streams just to them every single Wednesday at like 5:00. So yeah, these are all the kind of ideas that have kind of come together, and we'll see which ones work and which ones don't.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get this out to artists, because you've given, at least if I'm counted right, 4 to 5 nuggets of gold here, just in ideas that they can take and go do pretty easily, most of them. We kind of skimmed over the house cleaning thing, but that's genius.
Yeah, I think, if you're like me, if I see something if I go on to my Facebook and I see something that's live, I'll probably watch for 5 to 10 seconds, like I'll check in, I'll look at it. Or if it's a video that's 25 minutes long, I might go to the middle and see what it is, and then whatever. But this other idea of encouraging people to tune in, prop your phone up, and just have me in the background, I think is really, really good, as opposed to somebody who's like, sitting there with the phone. They're not going to hold their phone up in front of their face that long. Yeah. So this idea of house cleaning, that Sunday morning worship thing where, you know, just put it on, mirror it to your TV, grab a cup of coffee, you know, something more than just, hopefully you'll keep on looking at your phone for a long time, because I just don't think that people are going to do that. So.
Well, and if you got to be isolated, I mean, it looks like you got a pretty cool room to do it in.
Yeah, man, that was the story I was telling you about earlier. I started building this studio in October, not knowing anything about what's going to happen. All I knew was I wanted to get the studio done before the twins came, because after that I wouldn't be able to work on it. Mm-hmm. Got it done on mid-January, like January 15th was when I was like, okay, we're good. We're good to start working out of this room. And twins came February 3rd, and everything changed, early March. So, yeah.
Right on, man. Well, we'll put all the links to your shows, your Patreon, any way people can either find you, watch you online, or donate or contribute to the cause. We're going to have that all in the show notes, as well as that'll be on like the podcast show notes. But we're also we'll have a page created on the Dream Big Series website that's got the video version of this and everything. So, dude,
awesome.
Thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if anybody is watching this or whatever, that reach out. Like, I would love to share how, like, do a rig run through of how I'm doing everything to help you out. So reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for doing that. Thanks, Mikey.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
I am so appreciative of Mikey Needleman spending this time with us and just sharing everything he has. And on top of that, him offering to give a rig rundown on technically just how he's put this all together is over the top, and so grateful for that. So let's give back to Mikey. I'm going to have all of his links in the show notes for the Mikey Needleman Band, as socials, website, all of that. Please hop on there. Don't just like them though. Get on there and comment. Watch some of the shows, and if you've gotten something out of this and it's helped you, then let him know that as well. You've been listening to the Dream Big series. We would love to hear from you, so please leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to visit us at dreambigseries.com for more podcast videos and blogs. Also, let us know if you would like to bring the Dream Big series event to your school, corporation, or organization. Thank you for listening to the Dream Big series.